ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ, ਨਮਸਕਾਰ ਅਤੇ ਆਦਾਬ। ਅੱਜ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੁੜ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹੋ CHDS ਰੇਡੀਓ ਦਿਲ ਸੇ ਅਤੇ CHDP ਰੇਡੀਓ ਦਿਲੋਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਤੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਯਾਨੀ RJ ਹਰਜਾਪ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਆ ਗਏ ਹਾਂ ਮਿਸਿਸਾਗਾ ਮਾਲਟਨ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਰਾਈਡਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡੇ ਜੁੜ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਰਾਈਡਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਲਿਬਰਲ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ Iqwinder Gaheer. Iqwinder, it's good to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure. So Iqwinder, over the past couple of weeks, the people of Mississauga Malton have really gotten to know you as you and your team have been out in the riding, going door to door across the riding, reaching out to voters. So why don't you tell our listeners a bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. So I'll start from the beginning. From the very beginning, I was actually born in Punjab. Came to Canada when I was 6 years old. So we come from a very poor family, if I'm being frank. And the story begins that I was actually born a few months after my father had already left Punjab. So we met for the first time actually in this riding at Pearson Airport when the elevator doors opened for the first time. And this stranger comes rushing at me. So that was sort of our first interaction. You know, my dad was a plumber. He was a construction worker, then got his plumbing license. I would spend my summers off from school with my dad on the job. Education was a big focus for us, for my family. And again, it's because my parents never had a chance to pursue it. So my dad went to grade 12, my mom, I think grade 7, and that's sort of the educational background. So they pushed us saying, you know, we never had the chance to pursue higher education, but you do. So please do as much as you can. For undergrad, I went to the Schulich School of Business. And, you know, when I finished that degree, you know, I very proudly came to my parents and like, hey, look, you know, Schulich degree. And they're like, nope, you know, what else can we do? You know, what post-grad degree do you want? And that corporate conversation started. They wanted me to be a lawyer. I also had an interest in the profession as well. And they basically asked me, you know, what's the best school? And I said, you know, Osgood, UFT, UBC, these are great schools in Canada, right? They're like, no, what's you know, the best or one of the best schools in the world, right? And galti ho gayi mere to. I told them that it was Harvard Law School, and they said, well, that's where you have to go. And that's where that journey starts, where I start studying for the LSAT. You know, thankfully, I don't know what worked, whether it was my mom's prayers, or it was the little bit of hard work that I put in, or Rabb ne laaj rakh liya sada. And thankfully, I was accepted, and I was there from 2016 to 2019.
Wow. That's an amazing story, really.
You.
Can you tell listeners a bit more about your time at Harvard and how that shaped you into the person you are today?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of preconceived notions about Harvard, that it's, you know, very posh or it's very snobby.
Right.
And when I got there, I found that that wasn't true at all. People are actually very nice. People are from all over the world. They attend. So you learn something from everyone. I think I started when I was 22. Please don't quote me on that. But I was actually very young there. People were already married, they had kids, they had full careers already. So these were my peers, and these were the people that I was learning from. So that made for a great learning experience, obviously. Professors were great. You know, sometimes they would put you on the spot during class, and you were embarrassed because of it. But it trained you, though, for the profession.
Definitely, yes. So, yeah, at Harvard, so we found out you were an editor with the Harvard Human Rights Journal. So why did you join the Human Rights Journal, since there's so many, you know, legal journals, so many well-known legal journals that Harvard has? So what prompted you to go on the Human Rights?
So it was the only journal that gave me a spot.
Okay.
So, no. So the journal, during my first year, I was with the Harvard Business Law Review. Okay. With all due respect to that journal, you know, I just wasn't passionate about the articles that they were publishing. Okay. They do some great work. It's just not what I was looking to get into at that time. The Harvard Human Rights Journal had an opening for articles editor during my second year. I applied, got it. In my final year, I was the editor-in-chief of the Human Rights Journal. So the journal basically publishes articles from all over the world, written by lawyers, judges, politicians even. I think Barack Obama also published an article. He published it in the Harvard Law Review.
Okay.
But, you know, I just love reading that kind of, those kind of articles on human rights, about different issues all over the world. It's a natural passion, so I just gravitated towards that journal.
Wow. And so what prompted or inspired you to get into politics? Like right before this, you were at a really prestigious firm practicing commercial litigation, I believe. So what prompted you to come back to your hometown, your home riding, and say, I want to make a difference, I want to get into politics?
Sure. So firstly, I like to say that I worked for a New York law firm for 2 years. I did, but I was only in New York for 6 months. And for the past year and a half, I've been in the community working remotely for that same firm. So what prompted me into politics? I told you a little bit about my story, about my background. The family was very poor, and now the family is doing extremely well. And the single biggest factor in that is this country, is Canada.
Yes.
So we have a deep passion, a deep loyalty for this country. And there was always a conversation that was ongoing in my family that if there's ever an opportunity, ever a chance where we can contribute back to Canadian society, we'll take it. It wasn't always, we have to run for MP, member of parliament. Sort of any meaningful capacity where I can contribute, I'll take it. It just so happened that Navdeep Baji was retiring from his seat, and I thought it's a good chance to throw my name in the ring, and now we find ourselves here.
That's amazing, amazing. So some of our listeners had informed us that they met you as you went door to door in the riding, meeting voters. And so can you tell us a bit about the overall response you received, the energy you felt from the people of this riding, and so sort of the issues that they raised and how you plan on addressing those once you get to Parliament Hill?
Sure. Yeah. We're looking forward to give good news to everyone come September 20th. When I meet the residents of this riding, I get recharged almost because I feed off of that energy.
Right.
They're very positive. They're very enthusiastic. They're very happy with the Liberal performance during the pandemic, and they're looking forward to what the Liberals have planned for the future. Some of the issues that they raise are very valid. It's regarding housing, climate, childcare are the three most often concerns that I get.
Right.
And the Liberal Party has a platform that addresses all of them. And I'm very proud to say that. When it comes to childcare, there's lots of families that I've met that can't send both parents out to work because it's actually cheaper if one parent stays home to take care of the child. So Liberals want to introduce $10 a day for childcare over 10 years. When it comes to climate change, people in our generation, I know I'm a little bit older than you, but I want to group us as one generation because I want to bring my age down. But people in our generation have seen what's happened to the environment over the last few decades.
Definitely, yes.
The hottest days on record, severe storms, wildfires, ice shields are melting. Yeah. Exactly, right? So we want to address that because you not only want to live a good life, you want to leave a good world for future generations to come. Mm-hmm. The Liberal Party wants to promote green businesses. They want to promote businesses that want to go green. We're going to phase out gas cars, and we're going to bring in EV vehicles and promote them. $18 billion in the budget has been allocated toward a green economy. So this is not just a social policy, this is an economic policy. So that's a big one for us. And lastly, housing. So I'm getting to the age now where my friends are getting married and they're moving out, they're buying their first home, and they're having to either move very far away from the GTA, they're having to take on very big loans, or they're having to take a lot of money from their parents.
Yes.
And the right to have a roof over your head is a right that every person should have.
Definitely, yes.
It should be affordable. Liberals are introducing 1.4 million homes. We're going to clamp down for 2 years at least on foreign investment. So people sitting in other countries that see the GTA as a real estate investment opportunity instead of seeing it as a housing market, we're going to clamp down on that. We're going to help new home buyers. There will be a tax-free savings account introduced, and it'll be easier for people like me and my friends to buy that first home.
Definitely, yes. Housing is a major issue, especially in the GTA.
Yes.
And in this riding. That's something we've noticed as well. So one very important issue that has come up as well during this election has been the issue of mental health. And all political parties have have put forward their plans regarding mental health and so on. So your story is is an immigrant story that's typical for many young Canadians, yet very few actually go on to accomplish and achieve as much as you have at such a young age. So what did you used to do when during those times when you felt down and sort of what message would you have for young Canadians as they go on to try and accomplish their life goals?
Sure. So I think I think you bring a very good point up.
Right.
I think mental health is an issue that is of big concern. We've seen mental health issues really come to the limelight not limelight, but come to be highlighted during the pandemic. People really had a rough time. The Liberals are working. They have a platform. They have a policy towards mental health and promoting mental health. I think personally, I've seen, the family at a very low point when we were, in a village, relatively poor, and then it takes, it goes up from there. We come to Canada, we work really hard. I think when you're an immigrant, there's just that natural mentality of roll up your sleeves and let's get the work done. Mm-hmm. So I think having that mentality is very important. I think people shouldn't lose hope during difficult times. There's a quote that I love. It's one of my favorite quotes. And the quote is, "A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor." Right? So points of adversity, points of conflict should be used for personal growth. And that strength should come from within, but it also comes from the people around you. So I'm very fortunate to say that I have very loving parents, an older brother, younger brother, and it's like my left arm and my right arm during this election, and even throughout my life, they've really supported me. So I think definitely lean on your family, lean on your friends. My friends that I've had since grade 3 are still my best friends till this day.
Wow.
So it's about having sort of a network that you can lean on during those low points.
Right.
And yeah, just going from there.
Amazing. And so is there any other message that you have or anything else you'd like to say today?
Yeah. So again, it was a big focus for my parents. It's a big focus for me. Education is very close to my heart. I'd like to ask all the youth that are watching this to work hard, to pay attention in school. Education is a great way to sort of rise in the socioeconomic ladder, but it's also a great way to have a fulfilling life. My friend tells me this all the time. He went to Yale Law School, and he's like, they can take away your money, they can take away your house, they can take away your car, but they'll never be able to take away your education. So once you have that, that's yours for life. And I think that's very special.
That's right. It's amazing. It was great having you here today.
Thank you for having me.